Welcome to the Employment Support Program webinar, Fundamentals of a Resume. My name is Gulsen Topirik and I'm the Employment Support Worker at North York Community House. Today, I would like to share with you the basics of how to create a resume. Please feel free to pause during the video to work on your very own resume. Resumes are a very important tool as they allow you to brand who you are, market your skills and qualifications, and creates the employer's first impressions and thoughts about you. A resume is the first step of the job search process. Once you have finished, it can get you an interview, which will hopefully lead to a job offer. Before you start to build your resume, there are 3 things to keep in mind. Number 1, who am I? Number 2, what do I want? And finally, number 3, how do I get there? By keeping these questions in mind, it will help you to stay focused and keep your resume relevant to the job you are seeking. Now that we have those questions in mind, let's get started. In Canada, resumes are best written in Arial or Times New Roman in 12-sized font. It will only include the necessary personal information and should never include information regarding your age, religion, gender, marital or citizenship status, or banking information. Your resume will also have an objective or headline, your qualifications, education, and any other relevant experience. To add more value to your resume, you can include information such as volunteer work, extracurricular activities, and references available upon request, meaning that if the employer asks for your references, you will give it to them on a separate piece of paper. Remember to never put false information on your resume. The employer will usually find out, and it can mean that you miss out on a job opportunity. There are different styles of a resume. However, there are 2 main styles that we will discuss in this webinar: combination and chronological. We will look at the chronological style first. This style will be written with your work experience in reverse chronological order, which means the newest information on the top and the oldest at the bottom. This is a very popular style of resume in Canada because it allows employers to see a glance or scan of your experience. This type of style is most recommended for those with a strong work history. A combination style resume is best for those with little experience or someone who is changing their career. In this style, you would label your resume with relevant skills and include information such as past employment, education, and volunteer experience. In this style, your work history should still be newest first. You may also list transferable skills in your resume. With all of that useful information in mind, let's start writing. First, you will need to include your contact information. Again, this is only the required information like your name, your phone number, your email address, and your home address, including the city and the postal code. As you can see on the webinar, there are different ways to display your resume information. It starts first with the name, for example, Chris Lee. Make sure to include your last name. Then your home address. If you live in a building, you should also include the unit number. The second example has the same information, however, would be a better format to use if you need more space in the body of your resume. Your resume should only be 1 full page, 1.5 pages, and 2 full pages. The first example is written on Arial, and the second example is Times New Roman. Once you have completed your contact information, we will move on to the objective or headline. Your objective should clearly state what you want. They can be simple and direct. An example seen on this page is a full-time public relations position with CIBC. While objectives are brief, a headline is used to tell a very short story or summary of who you are. Headlines and summaries are not necessary. However, it can grab the attention of the employers faster. It can include your values, qualities, and accomplishments. The next section that you should add is the highlights of qualifications. This is a very important part of the resume because it is very unique and shows why you would be good for this job. In this part of your resume, you will want to use adjectives or describing words to explain what you have done. Some examples are qualified, determined, positive, and detailed. Please avoid using the same adjectives repetitively. Next is an example of highlights and qualifications. Some suggestions are to include the number of years that you have experience in your field, your relevant credentials, education, training, and any other reason why you are qualified for the job that you're applying for. You will also want to include transferable skills, hard and soft skills. Hard skills are skills that you have training in or that are tangible, such as computer programming. A soft skill is something that does not require training and can come natural to you, like being kind and a good team member. You can also add a quality or characteristic that you have that supports your goal. Remember that you do not want to make this section more than 5 to 7 bullets long because it will be too much for the employer to read. This might be one of the most important parts of your resume because it is the first section that employers will read to get a profile on you. After writing your qualifications, you should add your experience to your resume. You will describe your responsibility and experiences at past places of employment or volunteering. You will want to use sentences that start with an action word such as managed, planned, created, and trained. When structuring your experience sentence of your resume, make sure to start with your position followed by the company you worked for, the city, and province. Do not forget to include the start and end dates of your job. Begin with your most recent work and try to remain relevant to the job that you are applying for. You can describe your responsibilities and duties, how you performed them, and what results you got from that. When writing this, past jobs should be written in past tense, like work, presented, and assembled. Your current job is to be written in present tense, saying things like work, present, and assemble. This section is very flexible in what titles you use for the name of the section. You can use work experience and work history. For those without work experience, you can use titles such as relevant experience and volunteer experience. This section is meant for the employer to see the type of work that you did at your job, such as your daily responsibilities. This can also highlight your transferable skills if you are entering into a new career field. Under your experience, you can now add your education and trainings to your resume. You may have many years of education, but you will only want to include the education and trainings that you have to do with the job you're applying for. Especially with training, be careful to add those that will be useful for the job, such as first aid training when working with elderly or children. For example, you will put your degree or diploma name first, then the year you graduated. Under that, what the school was called. If you have any specific accomplishments, such as having a grade point average of over 3.5 or excelled in a course, feel free to add that as well. List any projects or internships you did that provided you with hands-on experience. Again, please make sure it is relevant. You will know if it is relevant by looking at the job posting to see what they will require from you. There are many other ways to add value to your resume. Having volunteer experiences related to your field can be listed as part of your work history. Volunteer work shows that you are committed to the community, have initiative, and even strong work ethics. Professional memberships and affiliations can highlight your commitment to continuous learning and improvement to your profession. Extracurricular activities can show beneficial skills such as teamwork, creativity, and the ability to be analytical. And finally, it is just a finishing touch to write references available upon request. If you do not have space to add this in, you have the option of not doing it. Always keep a list of references with you when you are going to an interview. This is an example of how add-ons are on your resume. Remember to keep the same format throughout the resume. Some final reminders that are good to keep in mind when writing your resume are to never put your picture on your resume and to never include personal information such as gender or status. This can leave room for discrimination based on your race, gender, marital status, and other grounds. Never include false information on your resume. As said before, employers will usually be able to find that out either on early or later in process and will look very bad on you. Do not rush completing your resume. Take your time and make sure that you do it the best of your abilities. Save your resume on PDF file before sending it to an employer. This is not mandatory, but suggested unless the employer requests otherwise. Next, do not write your resume in paragraph format. Use bullet points. This will become very boring to the employer hiring you, and they will not want to read the whole thing. Keep your font, color, and size the same throughout. Ensure that your resume is free from spelling errors. Have a friend or family member edit it and make sure that it looks error-free. Be specific in what you know and your experiences. You will want to keep your resume either 1 full page, 1.5 pages, or 2 full pages long. Lastly, try to leave the best contact number for you to be reached at to ensure that you do not miss the employer's calls or emails. It is always a good idea to have an activated voicemail. And this comes to an end of our webinar on fundamentals of resume. Thank you for watching. I hope that this webinar helps you and that you have an understanding on how to create a basic resume. I offer both one-on-one services and group trainings. Please feel free to contact me at the office at 416-636-2600 extension 4220, my mobile 416-543-8682, by email or on the application that is under the employment section on the North York Community House website, and I will contact you back. Thank you.